Article 25 and 30 of the customary international humanitarian law, the medical personnel must be protected at all times.
Even when they're engaging in acts hostile to the adversary?
It must, Article 25 provided that for the medical personnel to lose their protection, they must have acted harmful to the enemy. We contended that dispensing the gold pills did not constitute the elements of harmful act against the enemies. Therefore, it cannot be said that the medical personnel lost the protection here.
Did the gold pills make the people who took those pills last longer in terms of conducting hostilities?
Yes, it made person less tired and can stay awake longer.
So does making a person less tired and able to fight longer count as medical treatment or as a hostile act against the adversary?
We contend that this is just a medical use to help to make them stay awake longer and less fatigued. And this is not a direct act, not an act of harmful to the opposing party.
So for the opposing party, would you prefer to have tired out soldiers that are fighting against you or soldiers who are on gold pills and ready to go full of energy against you? Think about it.
Of course, Your Honor, I would not want to be fight. But again, according to the law itself, it must have acted harmful to the enemy. In this case, the RAF medical personnel did not commit an act. They just giving the pills to make them stay awake longer.
Doesn't the giving of the pills facilitate the conduct of hostilities?
Hostility
Against the adversary? I confess this bench is a little perplexed as to how you are trying to claim that these medics continue to enjoy the protection as medical officers from attack when it seems that they were acting against the adversary with these pills.
Your Honor, we contend that just using this pill is not enough to constitute that this is an act of harmful against the enemy, as the pill was just there to help the soldiers stay awake longer. Who has actually acted is the soldier. And also, I would like to add that the left kind is aware of armed conflict, and also left kind the non-intentional armed conflict exists here, as I have elaborated before. And Mr. Kind has to bear responsibility for this crime by soliciting or inducing this crime of attacking medical personnel under Article 25 3b of the Rome Statute. According to the ICC commentary, soliciting a crime is to command, encourage, request, or incite another person to commit a crime, while inducing means to influence another person to commit a crime. In the similar case of Lendiman, which was decided by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda in 2007, the accused, the RLTM, broadcasted about the ethnic stereotyping which promote hatred among Tutsi ethnic group, and some of them were subsequently killed by this action. The court held that the act of this broadcasting is considered an act as instigating, as there is specific causal connection between the broadcast and the killings. On 17 November 2015, the Al Jazeera has broadcast Late Kind's interview. In this interview, he exhibited his hatred against the RAF medical personnel. He threatened them, and I quote, "You are no longer the healers. Repent and give up this unnatural practice, or you will pay."
Sorry, but can you read out the sentence in paragraph 21? Is it hatred that is expressed or just disgust?
It's disgust, Your Honor.
So if it's just disgust at the fact that the medical officers have decided to prescribe gold pills to facilitate hostilities, is that similar to the case that you just quoted to this?
Yes, we contend that this is, as he expresses disgust, as he said this is unnatural practice, among with the other leaders of the TFRA has said the same thing. This created hatred among the RAF medical officer. He doesn't have to express his hatred. If he creates the hatred as of this, of course.
How is it that this broadcast on Al Jazeera encouraged the TFRA to carry out these attacks against the medical officers? It seems pretty distant. It seems quite indirect. It seems quite far away from the example that you quoted to us from this case, where there was a broadcast inciting killing. Here we have commander who is disgusted with the fact that doctors are actually participating in hostilities with the prescription of pro pills, and he's just saying he will pay one day. It doesn't mean that it's an order for everyone under his charge, so to say, to actually go out and attack doctors. Is it?
Your Honor, we contend that as he is the leader and he is a well-spoken person of the True Man movement before, his action, his command, his opinions is substantially has contribution to the TFRA member. He would have known as the Freeman Tribe were against this unnatural substance of everything. Therefore, he would have known that doing this, they already have hatred among the unnatural substance. He just adds into
Sorry,
it.
Counsel, are you willing to concede that he did not give a direct order to do this, to attack medical doctors because they were prescribing these pills? Can you concede that at least? Are you willing to agree that there is no direct order? What you're saying to us is that it was implicit, implied.
Your Honor, under the crime of inducing or soliciting, as inducing means influence, therefore, it has not need to be a direct order. Such influence is enough. We contend that this is an influence and therefore constitute enough elements for this crime.
Please proceed.
And as the interview has shared widely among the TFRA, therefore this shows the connection between the kinds interview. As the broadcast happened and the killing happened just a month later, this shows the link between the killing and the broadcasting. Therefore, this concludes my second charge against Mr. Khan. Your Honor, I would like to note that it is a basic rule of international law that military attack must not be direct on civilians or protected medical personnel. Lead kind action was a complete disregard to this basic rule of international law, and he must be held accountable for committing such a gruesome act.
If I may very quickly about the red crystal. The fact is that none of the parties has acceded to additional protocol 3, and one could say that the attack against the people bearing the red crystals was not against medical personnel because they did not identify themselves like medical personnel. What are your considerations on this?
Your Honor, we contend that the Kingdom of Rawin have not ratified this additional protocol T. Therefore, they have no obligation under this one. But we also contend that as a reasonable man, having seen this sign of white and red, they would have known that this is a medical personnel, and the medical personnel were also carrying a medical ID, dressing as medical person. Therefore, they must have known, or they would have known, that this is medical personnel protected under Geneva Convention.
So what is the protection for medical personnel? The uniform, ID, emblem, what?
Combined. And also the action of them. Also the duty of them in their fields.
Okay, just to go back a little, so what is important to remember that today we are going to judge his responsibility for those actions, not what happened in each of the three cases, but his responsibility. So I don't know if you have any, let's say, historical cases where you could refer to this or that case in another trial that would sort of add to this, let's say, assumption that him being a well-known, well-spoken commander would also give him the responsibility of foreign fighters coming to take part in this fight against the government. Any cases, any historical cases or anything that could be referred back to for us to take into consideration when we have to judge his responsibility?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm really not familiar with this thing, but may I reserve this to answer in rebuttal?
Of course.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Would you like, how much time would you like to wrap up your argument? You're done?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, I will be addressing for the last charge in which Mr. Liatkins must be responsible as the commander of the TFRA under the war crime of using children. There are two submissions in this regard. First, the TFRA conscripting or conscripting or enlisting children under the age of 15 years old under Article 8(2)(e)(7) of the Rome Statute. Second, Mr. Liatkins must be responsible as a commander of the TFRA under Article 28(a) of the Rome Statute. For the first submissions, the war crime of using, conscripting, or enlisting children, there are 5 elements that Your Honors must be satisfied before the court confirms the charges against Liatkins. First, the TFRA conscript or enlist one or more persons into the armed group, or use one or more persons to